अनात्मरूपं च कथं समाधि आत्मस्वरूपं च कथं समाधि अस्तीति नास्तीति कथं समाधि मोक्षस्वरूपं यदि सर्वमेकम्. How can a man attain samadhi as long as he thinks of himself as something other than the Atman? But on the other hand, samadhi is not possible for a man who thinks of himself as the Atman. How can samadhi be attained as long as a man thinks that the Atman exists and yet does not exist? And what need is there to attain samadhi if all are one and by nature free? Rohit has quoted from the Avadhuta Gita, chapter 1, verse 23. And he has been asking this question since 3 weeks now. I had been unable to take it up. But it seems his inquiry is quite insistent. Dattatreya says, if you think of yourself as anything other than Atman, where is the question of samadhi for you? This first sentence is just a first sentence. It introduces the reader into thinking that probably thinking of oneself as the Atman is necessary to enter samadhi. The very next line, Dattatreya strings a surprise. He says, well, if you think of yourself as Atman, how is samadhi possible for you? He starts off by saying, if you think of anything, if you think of yourself as anything other than the Atman, samadhi will elude you. He proceeds by saying, if you think of yourself as the Atman, samadhi will elude you. he now knows that it is evident that he is out to attack the notions of the mind. So quite brazenly, in the next line he says, for those who think that there is, and for those who think that there is not, where is the question of Samadhi? Till this point he has only said what will not lead to Samadhi. But in the last line, he totally destroys even the remnants of mental support. He says, what is the need for Samadhi? Who needs Samadhi? What is the point in Samadhi when all is but one? Let's take it again from the beginning. A man thinks of himself as something other than the Atman. Another man thinks of himself as the Atman. What is common between these two men? They both think of themselves as something. They both have a self-concept. The mind is active in the case of both of them. The mind is looking at itself and sizing itself up. Getting it? A man insists that an ultimate truth does exist, and another man insists nothing of that sort exists. What is common amongst them? Both are talking of the truth within the plane of existence that the mind is familiar with. After all, the word existence, whether we say asti or whether we say nasti, the word is or the word exists has definite meanings for us. It refers to something in the time-space plane. Somebody says it is there in it. Somebody says no, it is not there in it. But both are referring to the same plane. It's like two ignorant people who come across something that is beyond their knowledge, that is beyond their experience, their intellect. None has any idea of what he is seeing. There can be no idea of what they are seeing. What they have come across is beyond ideation. But one of them starts insisting, I know what it is. And the other one starts insisting, well, I do not think there is anything to be known, and what you are insisting as existent simply does not exist. This second one simply denies the existence of what he is seeing. Is either of them any better than the other? What is common amongst them is their ignorance. One says God exists, the other says God does not exist. The question is, have you any understanding of what you are saying? What does not exist? And what are you claiming as existent? What exactly? What are you affirming? And what exactly are you denying? What exactly are you denying? And in confirming or denying, you have stirred a mental agitation which has taken the mind away from its fundamental peace. So it doesn't matter whether the truth exists or does not exist, but what is certain is that in the process of asserting your opinions about the truth, you have entered into opinions. That much is pretty much certain. But right now, it is the opinions that are ruling. And where there are opinions, there can be no truth. Your opinions about the truth has ironically pulled you away from the truth. But that is mind. It is more interested in having opinions, knowledge, experience about something than being with the thing itself. It is more interested in talking about peace than being peaceful. It is more interested in lecturing about love than being loving. It is more interested in theories about meditation than meditativeness itself. Theories sustain the mind. Knowledge inflates the mind. But the real, about which all theories and knowledge is purportedly there, that punctures the mind. So the mind has great interest in talking about it, but great resistance to approaching it. And you will find that happening at many stages of your life. It might even be a routine experience. News about something might excite you, but closeness to the thing makes you nervous. Take, for example, a teacher. Words from a teacher appear nice. Knowledge gathered from a teacher appears valuable. But the teacher himself appears a little bit of a crackpot. A little eccentric, even a little scary. So let me read his books. Let me follow his methods. But I won't go close to him because that's dangerous. That threatens me. Now, what is this me that is threatened? This me is probably what the Dattatreya is referring to. This me is the thinker. This me is the one who likes to declare this exists, that does not exist. I know. I do not know. This me is that. Dattatreya is the head of Avadhuts. See how peacefully we have taken up his words and are discussing them. See how composed we all look. Everything is all right as long as what we have with us are words of the Avadhut. Now what? If an Avadhut a real one, in all his wild, natural and beautiful nakedness, comes right over here, what would happen to your composure? And chances are he won't be interested in lecturing. His life is his teaching. His methods are spontaneous. He has no great regards for etiquette or politeness. Most of us might not be comfortable. That's actually an understatement. Most of us would actually actively avoid him as long as it is a cozy and convenient environment where his words are being taken up in a setting orchestrated by you, you're all right. But when the real one enters, and smashes all settings. Obviously not as violence, but as treatment. That real one does not appear very likable. The words in Avadhuta Gita represent some of the purest utterings on Advait. As pure as the verses of Upanishads, if not more. I'm tempted to say, actually, purer than that. More strict and uncompromising in their rejection of duality than Ashtavakra and Krishna. Such is the worth of the Tattreya's words. Such is the worth of the Avadhuta Gita. But please see that the Avadhuta Gita never became as famous or as popular as the Gita of Krishna, or even the Gita of Ashtavakra. Much lesser scriptures have been liked much more by us. The reason is obvious. The truth is alright for the ego only from a distance. Proximity to the truth is life-threatening for us. So all kinds of miscellaneous scriptures are alright. Those other scriptures too have their worth, some value. But none comes close to matching the naked staunchness of the Avadhuta. Nobody. And that is why we have not been able to really accept and appreciate this one. And ultimately, Dattatreya dissolves the final concept itself. He dissolves the very concept of dissolution. He says, when the truth is one, where is the question of reaching the truth? That is how Samadhi has been classically defined. Reaching the center, settling down into the truth. I can actually see him laughing to a fellow Avadhuta and saying, how will you reach that? From which it is impossible to escape. How will you reach that which you can never leave even if you want to? He's saying, what rubbish is this? All this talk of Samadhi. As if you are in any other state at any other point of time. You are already in Samadhi. There is no other truth. If you think you are in some other state, you are dreaming. So wake up. You do not need to reach Samadhi. There is a difference between reaching somewhere and simply waking up. You are already there. You are dreaming you are somewhere else. Wake up. You are already there. Nowhere else to go. You are already at the pinnacle of your life. This is the climax. It can't get any better than this. And what are you searching for? Had you been so unfamiliar with that which you are searching for, how would you have searched for it? To make matters complicated for yourself, you say the truth is distant, the truth is unknowable, the truth is unapproachable. Mind cannot think of it. Man cannot reach it. If that is so, then how is it that you are incessantly on the lookout for the truth? If truth is such an unknown entity to you, Why are you so restless? One doesn't desire for something one is very unfamiliar with, or does he? And you are desiring for that one all the time. In your various desires, in your various movements, ultimately all you want is peace. Whatever you may say that you are chasing, at the end of the chase lies the promise of peace. That promise is what gives the chase its energy, right? And you're chasing all the time. You're convinced of the promise. From where does this conviction come? This conviction comes from the fact that you know peace. You know that the promise is real. You know that peace is your natural state. And that is why, in whatever you do, every moment, and whosoever you meet, all you look for is peace. Seen anybody who wants anything except peace? Even when you are chasing excitement, you are chasing peace through excitement. Even when you are being violent, you want peace through violence. Ultimately, you want nothing except peace. Would it not be then foolish to say, I do not know peace? Had you not known it, how could it have been echoing inside you constantly? Not only do you know it, you remember it without break. It is a continuous music, an incessant resonance within you. You don't even need reminders. If you are going in some direction, you are going in the direction of peace. If you're trying out something, you're trying to get peace. If you are entering something new, the objective is peace. Even in taking a position against peace, ultimately you want to feel peaceful. Dare we say we do not know peace? That which is the central attraction of our lives. We want to feign unfamiliarity with it? Seriously? Dattatreya is saying, you are just pretending. You are already there. If you know it so clearly and intimately, it is impossible that anything can stand between you and it. You see, the first thing is to realize and see clearly that you know it clearly. The first thing is to see that peace, which you may also call as truth or God, is the center of all mental activity. The mind may be going in miscellaneous directions, but it wants to reach that particular center. Even in going hither and thither and randomly flying around, an Indian sage has given a very apt image for it. He says it is just like a bird on the ship. A ship sailing in the seas. The bird is on that ship. The ship flies from the sea. The bird flies from the ship and goes to various directions. But ultimately it returns to the ship. The ship is where the bird starts from. The ship is where the bird has to return to. Now, can the bird feign ignorance of the ship? Without the ship, there is no bird. The bird's very own existence is a proof of the ship. Otherwise, what are you doing in the middle of the seas? The very fact that you, the bird, is to be seen here. Where? In the middle of these turbulent seas is the proof of the ship. Had there been no ship, how would you have been here? You, hence, are the truth. You don't need to search for it. You are it. The search assumes a separation. And in assuming a separation, the search actually creates a separation. Dattatreya is saying, see that this is it, and there is really nowhere to be reached. All talk of Samadhi is just talk. Stop talking, and there is just Samadhi. There is just Samadhi either way. But you can either talk about it or straight away enter it. Even in talking, ultimately you are talking about Samadhi. So it's Samadhi either way, but it depends upon you. Talk about it, and if you're talking about it, then too the center is Samadhi, because all talk ultimately is about Samadhi. But you have an option. You can keep talking about it. And it's nice to talk about it. It's so nice to talk about it that Kabir says that I can even reject the invitation of Ram. There is a great pleasure in talking about Ram, is in listening to Ram's story. Such a great pleasure that I can even reject the invitation of Ram. राम बुलावा भेजिया दिया कबीरा रोए, जो सुख साधु संग में सो बैकुंठ ना होए. Do you see what is this? Samadhi runs in your veins. Just talking about it brings joy to you, does it not? That is the attraction of satsang. Jo sukh sadhu sang mein. Samadhi is so close and so dear to you that when somebody talks about it, your heart just opens up. You feel a depth of pleasure that no other occupation can give you. Jo sukh sadhu sang mein. And then there are others who say, well, we have had enough of talking now. Let me just enter it. There is not much difference between these two. Samadhi is complete freedom. On one hand, Samadhi is choicelessness because there is nothing but Samadhi. On the other hand, it is the power of absolute choice. You can decide to be talking about it, and that's wonderful. In Samadhi, you can decide to sing, talk, run, act, work. It's wonderful. Or in Samadhi, you can dissolve. In either case, it is Samadhi. Anything on this? So how can satsang become so dear that he's actually pleasing the sat? There is no reason. It's just that one has unlimited freedom in samadhi. You have never gone away from it. Your freedom is so absolute that you are free to even forget your freedom and then start clamoring, I am not free, I am not free. Your freedom is so absolute that you even have the freedom to forget your freedom and then, like a madman, start yelling, I'm in bondage, I'm in bondage. Even when you are yelling that you are in bondage, it is a proof of your freedom. Nothing else. Can this become the barrier itself, the last barrier? And barrier towards what? You had decided something, and you are not accountable to anybody for the decision that you made. You had decided something in your absolutely free will. Where is the question of barrier? The moment you will really want, you will change your decision. Where is the question of barrier? Barriers are external. Here all decisions are internal. There is no barrier. You have made a decision to forget. It's your decision. It's your sovereign expression of your absolute power. Remember, you never forget anything. As long as you are, that remembrance is there. Do you ever forget yourself? So there is no question of forgetting reminders and remembrance. You anyway always remember. You just have to decide to proclaim that you remember. You don't have to be reminded. You have to make a decision. And that decision will be your decision, sovereign decision. Nobody else can be a participant in it. You are the ultimate authority. Yes, of course, depending on the situations you have chosen. Somebody might push you a little, prod you a little, nudge you a little. But all of that is of no avail. What are you reminding him of? Yeah, the student is sitting in front of you. What are you reminding the student of? The student already knows. When I talk to you, there are only two kinds of faces. One that are exclaiming, yes, we know what you are saying. And we'll go with it. And the other, yes, we know what you are saying, but we won't go with it. There is no third phase. There is nobody here who doesn't understand what I am saying. Everybody does. In fact, you understand what I'm saying even before I say it. You already know everything. It's just that your decision. Nobody here is ignorant. There are only two kinds of faces. How else can you resist me? And you know how deeply you resist. How can you resist me without knowing what I stand for? Your very resistance is the proof that you understand. You very well know what I'm saying. That is why you so stubbornly raise your armors and defend yourself. You know from where the arrow is coming, and you know it is aimed towards your heart. That's why you are able to place your armor so accurately. Place it nowhere else. He aims only the heart. Defend that, and you are safe.
So you say that you have the absolute power of freedom, and nobody else is the same. Then who is this you? Like there is somebody else and there is a you. You take the decision to forget. Then who is this you?
This you is the same peace that we are continuously referring to. The peace that manifests itself sometimes as itself and at other times as mind. What is mind? Mind is the power of the self to manifest itself. Nothing else. Or do you think that the mind is something separate from the self, from the truth? The mind is the truth itself, expressed in space-time. They are one.
So, sir, like there are many birds, and all of them are floated away from the ship, right? And in the seas, they're talking about the ship, as we said, satsang. So, what interests me is why is it that some birds are able to go back to the ship, and other because forgetting, everyone has forgot. So, why is it that some are able to remember, go back to the ship, and others keep floating around in the seas only?
No bird can float around in the sea for too long. It has to be perched somewhere. It will have to go back to the ship. जैसे उड़ी जहाज को पंछी फिर जहाज पे आवे.
Right, but that duration too long is for
Even in the duration of the flight, where is the bird coming from? Where is the bird going to? Who brought the bird here? Now, are we saying that the bird has forgotten the ship? You are coming from the ship. You will go back to the ship. You have no other resting place. Yes, it is a part of your freedom to fly around a little. Go and fly around. Depends on your mood.
Sir, you says by your all actions. are looking for just peace only. That peace the state is very temporary. This is what I think. So is it like a continuous process that you have to seek something? Or is there anything which lasts long?
See, you can either have peace or you can have seeking. A child is with the mother and they decide to play hide and seek. In playing hide and seek, what have they done? They have become invisible to each other. They have become hidden from each other. But even in playing hide and seek, they know very well that they are with each other. When you are so intimately with each other, you feel like playing hide and seek. That's Maya. A loving expression of the truth. We are so close together. We can anyway never be separated. So let's be separated. Otherwise, what's the fun in always being together? Now that we know that we are destined to be together, we are one. We may appear like infinite varieties and diversities, but we know we are one. There is only that one. Let's play a little bit of hide and seek. Deliberately, we blindfold each other for the sake of some divine entertainment. That's it. So sometimes you have peace and at other times you have the seeking. Seeking peace. Hmm?